Hey guys, I'm Nadine. I'm an alcoholic,
Hi, Nadine.
and thank God I love AA. I was told when I first sobered up that if that you were asked to do something for AA, you say yes. And so I've been doing that ever since I got sober. My sobriety date is December 28th of 1985. And I was going to make it the first but I thought, Nadine, you stayed sober for the first New Year's in your life that you celebrated, and so I count those 3 days I sobered before the first. And uh, I say this all the time: Alcoholics Anonymous saved my life because when I came in, the only time I could talk is when I was drunk, and it was when my son died that I really got into my hard drinking. Before that, I drank sort of sporadically. I wasn't a heavy drinker at all. But within a couple months after my son died, because I just didn't want to think, and I knew the booze would make me not think, and so I started drinking. I was drinking 24 hours a day within a couple months, and I did that for a little over 4 years when my first granddaughter was born. And she was born on the day that my son died at the time that he died. So I figured I had this gift of life. And I thought, God, Nadine, you're drinking 24 hours a day, and how can you celebrate this gift of life you've gotten? And so I started to try to stop. And I always thought I could stop. And I found out that I'd get 2 days. The most I got in a year and a half was 2 days, except until the last month, and I actually got 5 days. And I thought I had it made, but then I drank again. And but my, and I never grieved because that's one reason I drank, because I know it would make me stop thinking, and I did not grieve about my son. I just would not acknowledge it at all, and I was pretty crazy that 4.5, 5 years that I drank, and so but one night I ran into a young man that he wanted to quit drinking, and I met him about a month before I sobered up, and we'd every night we'd say, "This is it, we're going to stop," and next morning we were drinking again, and that went on until he got a DWE after dropping me off one night, and he was sent to AA. And I'd ask him, it was about a month before I sobered up, and I'd say, "Well, what are those meetings like?" "Oh, they're okay." Yeah, he wouldn't tell me anything about them. And I thought, how in the heck is this guy staying sober? Because I couldn't stay sober. And so, uh, and that went on for, like I say, months. I did get 1 week, and I thought, oh, like I say, I thought I had it made. And then I drank again. And so I went looking for him one night. And it took me, after I found him, it took me a half an hour to get the courage to say, "Hey, when you gonna take me to one of those meetings you're going to?" And he says, "Oh, right now." And he took me to a hoot owl down at Serenity Hall. Hoot owls, I know you guys, some of you guys are old, so you know what they are, but some of the new ones don't know what a hoot owl meeting is. And that was a midnight meeting. And I've been sober ever since that night, since I walked through the door. And it's taken me all this time that I've been sober. I never couldn't figure out how I felt. And I finally realized, and in fact, it was this last year, I realized that what I felt when I walked through that door, that I felt safe for the first time in my life. Because my life was very chaotic. My father was a salesman, so we moved every 3 to 6 months. And I kept on moving after I grew up. And I really didn't know how to stay in one place. And it's taken me all my years of sobriety. I actually stayed 7 years in my last apartment. I thought I'd never lived in a building that long in my life. The longest I'd made in AA was 3 years. And, but this Alcoholics Anonymous, I've been thinking a lot about the promises. I think it's because it's the ninth month, but when I was 6 months sober, I realized that I was getting a lot of those promises. I hadn't gotten them all yet, but I thought God was doing for me what I could not do for myself. I was speaking, and I didn't talk to people at all before I came to AA. And what was the other? There was one. All those. I wasn't quite to the end yet, but the first five promises had been totally fulfilled. That 6 months, and I thought, saying, and that was where I started really, because I was sort of mad at God when I came in. I used the group of junks as my higher power when I first came in, and that made me start looking for a power greater than myself that I could really believe in. And I did find it because of Alcoholics Anonymous, and and but you guys, all you people in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous are the ones that kept me sober, and taught me. I had when I came into, I was sobered up at Serenity Hall in Renton, and there wasn't any women at that meeting for the first couple weeks, but those guys took me under their wing, and they protected me. They urged me to find a woman sponsor, and I didn't find her until I was 3 months sober. But I had been reading the steps, and I wanted to learn the steps, and I hadn't found a sponsor, and so I started a step study, and they told me I couldn't do that, and I said, well, I called in a group, and they said I could, and the chairperson of the hall said I could, so I'm going to do it. And I didn't know what in the hell I was doing. I just wanted to learn those steps, and these 20 guys that were at that meeting all the time, they joined with me, and they actually helped me. They really shared with me and gave me advice about the meeting and that. And when I think it was the third or fourth month, this woman walked in, and she spoke that day at the meeting. I says, that's the lady I want for my sponsor. And I've had her for my sponsor ever since then. But I told her, I says, because I'm a mover, and any city I'm living in, I says I will get a sponsor in that city. I promise her that. And I have a sponsor where I live now that I use, and because she goes south in the wintertime. And but I got into, they had me chairing a meeting at 29 days sober. I didn't know what in the heck to do. I didn't talk. The guy, when he called me up, he says, do you know how to read? I says, yes, I can read. He says, then read, and then call on the, because back then they made a list of the people that were coming into the meeting, and I could just call on the people on the list. And so I didn't really talk. I just would start the meeting, read the preamble, and I says, and then I'd start calling on names. And but it got me through. And by the end of when I finished chairing that meeting, I went to another. Then I found out, oh, they made me intergroup and rep when I was 6 months sober, and I knew nothing about intergroup or anything like that, but I learned. And then when I was a year sober, they made me treasurer of Serenity Hall because I was a bookkeeper, and I thought, well, thank God it's something I know. And and it's progressed through that. I don't do much service work now just because I'm old, and I figure that I have to let the younger people get their chance to do it, and I encourage anybody I know to get in to service work. But I didn't. I have to say one thing. When I first did, like when they called me up to chair the meeting, I felt good about it because I thought, oh God, I get to give a little bit back, just a little bit back, because I was sober, and I never thought I could ever get sober again. And I've always thought of service work as giving just a little teeny bit back. And the I had to quit the treasurer stuff. I was district treasurer, and I had a head injury, and I can't do numbers. Haven't been able to do numbers since. And I turned them around and everything. So, but I went into other things of being GSR, and I did other service work, and just talking to another alcoholic. that is what is the best thing in this world is when we talk to another alcoholic and just try to be the best person we can be as a human being and learning how to be a human being. And I got to sober up with this beautiful young lady here. She was 17 years old, and I was her mom's sponsor. And I never thought she'd ever. And she's only 6 months behind me, and that I think is absolutely fantastic. And I met so many wonderful people, and I went still was a traveler. I'm not driving anymore, but I've been to different states, gotten to meetings in all those states, Arizona, Montana. I went to a meeting, I think, in Wyoming. One it was either Wyoming or Colorado. I was in, and but I go to meetings wherever I am, and I am a meeting goer. I love going to meetings. I'm going to try and keep going to meetings as long as I can walk, talk, and think. And so far, I haven't lost all my mind. I think I've lost part of it, but that's okay. And I think I've earned it. And I love the people in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I love to watch the young people grow and change. And it's really a beautiful thing to watch it, and I can sit back now and then and just watch them. And that's when it's like these. I met these guys just since I started coming down here. But then I met a couple people from my old home roots, Randy Hall, and got to watch her and him sober up. And it's so neat having that. And I have my friend that brings me down now, and Gretchen. I got to watch her sober up off and on. But she said, "You're doing it good. You're really doing it good now, honey." And you know what? When I knew her back then and she was young, I didn't know that she had this absolutely gorgeous singing voice. And so we love to hear her sing when she does it. So if anybody wants to come and hear her, you can when she does. So, but I really, I'm sort of running out of words. Have I talked long enough? See, 10 minutes too. All right. I love you guys, and I thank God for Alcoholics Anonymous because I don't think I'd be alive today if it wasn't for Alcoholics Anonymous. So thank you.